Hi, I'm Ellis Carter, and today I'm going to be talking to you about happiness. Why? Because we've all heard it on the radio about a billion times, but today it has to do with my central question, which is, what is the true meaning of happiness? Is it just our chemical response to the world around us, or does it have an idea that goes above just the matter around us? So first, let's take a look at the scientific approach. So there are 7 main hormones that control how we feel happiness. The first of which is dopamine, which is the body's reward system for completing short-term goals. So for example, if you've been exercising a lot and you want to get to the end of the mile, then once you do, there will be a dopamine release, and that also goes with a whole lot of other things. It's just general happiness and a sense of success. Oxytocin is happiness for social interaction with other humans or other things like pets, but mainly it's just socializing with other people and then the satisfaction that you gain from that. The next one is endorphins, which reduces your pain threshold or increases your pain threshold, meaning you feel less pain. And it also means, so for endurance sports or for really high intensity situations, if you're feeling very stressed, that's when endorphins would get released. GABA is released in other high intensity situations for when there are, so it'll help calm you down, relieve any sort of stress, and sort of make you feel very mellow. The next couple are serotonin, which gives you boost in confidence and comfort. So it'll leave you feeling very satisfied after you, again, complete short-term goals, and then this also ties in with longer-term, how the environment around you is making you feel happy. Another one is adrenaline, which we all know as releasing sugar to make you feel very focused and hyper, have a whole burst of energy. And the next one is endocannabinoids. So these are related, of course, to cannabis, and so it leaves you mellow and satisfied. But this is, again, related to physical activity and strenuous labor. So, one of the first books to be published about happiness in a philosophical context is Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. And in this book, he argued that the ideals of happiness were something higher than just a human reaction, and he thought that happiness was, and many other ideas, had qualities that were almost very spiritual. Now, we didn't really tie this into religious themes, but just that they had a higher than mortal realm of existence, which relates highly to Plato's theory of the forms. He thought that there was a higher form of happiness than what we experience on Earth. And Aristotle's works were incredibly influential and have still been for thousands of years, given that he's one of the fathers of Western philosophy. And so some other things that have influenced the views of happiness over time are Plato's Republic and different Confucian works, and this was studied by Oishi Shigehiro, and he looked at how cultures over time have looked at emotions differently, and one of the biggest distinctions between different cultures over time are how their philosophers are thinking about happiness and how big figures in the society are talking about it. So, for example, during the time of Plato writing his book, there was ideas of Plato's theory of the forms, and how that tied into culture was that people thought that what they were experiencing was very materialistic, and so they were always striving through their art and through their activities to sort of see what it would be like to be in a higher state of happiness. And this is something that was argued in Nicomachean Ethics, where Aristotle proposed that the purpose of human life is in the pursuit of success, satisfaction, and happiness. Another piece of research that Oishi Shigehiro did is he found that to a very extreme extent, happiness can prove to be cause you to be less effective and less efficient than if you were to be slightly less happy. And so what he found is that in very extreme examples, if you're feeling super happy, that can in fact be a problem. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and get sad so that you can work harder. the optimal form of happiness is above average, but not like ecstatic. Some other interesting research has been done in the field of happiness. For example, Tom Jacobs' research, which showed that creativity can lead to happiness, and he did so by looking at 57 different college students across various different majors, and looked at how their creativity would reflect in the release of dopamine. He was like scanning their brain and hormone activity while introducing them to different arts and like reading different passages. Some other interesting research has been done by Dan Gilbert, an evolutionary neuropsychologist. And so some of the things he has looked into is synthetic happiness, which is the fact that humans have evolved to be able to have different coping mechanisms to make them feel more satisfied about the situations that they've put themselves in. And one of his more interesting studies was that he went to a sample group with 10 different paintings, and he would ask them to rank them from their favorite to the one that they didn't like the most, 1 through 10. And he would then let them choose between 2 paintings, one that they got to keep and one that they didn't. And then he would come back a week later and ask them to re-rank them. And every time, the one that they had picked always improved in their score, and whichever one they picked, even more dramatically, they disliked significantly more. And that by itself doesn't sound super impressive, but something that really made the fact that synthetic happiness is very similar to real happiness is the fact that he did the same study with patients who had a lack of short-term memory. So after he introduced them with the 10 paintings, asked them to rank them, gave them one of them, he then came back like a week later, they'd completely forgotten about which painting they owned, he then asked them to rank them again, and even though they did not know which painting they owned, they still always preferred the one that they did own over the one that last time they did not receive. So, this brings me to my final answer. So, after looking at the different sources, I decided to side with Aristotle with the idea that happiness is an idea that is higher than just a physical response, and it's something that we should all cherish in a very spiritual way, that happiness is the goal of human existence, up there with satisfaction.